Hey everyone, so we are back in automation again, but this time instead of building something new, we are going to fix something old. Now this rally in quotes car that I made is quite bad. The main reason for it was that it had ridiculous turbo lag. So we are going to adjust it today. I have cloned it in the rally merc section, so we're just going to revise this cloned version of it. Now I don't want to change it entirely. I want to spend more time in this video on some of the other things, like the actual racing of it. But as you can see, like the torque curve on it is very it's not flat at all. Like you have barely any torque and then you hit boost and then just boom. And it makes it basically undrivable. So what we're going to do, we can't change the displacement and stuff. We're just going to leave all that the same. The body is all the same. It's still a 3-liter i4 and it does make 800 and something horsepower. But what we're going to do is we're going to go naturally aspirated. Now that may seem like a bad idea, but I assure you that these horsepower numbers that it shows right now are not what it's going to stick with. It's way too rich to make good power. So we're just going to have to drop it down. Alright, so it seems like 11 to whatever it is seems to be the good place to be. We can advance the timing a little bit. Hopefully, I'm hoping to get around 350 horsepower. I think that's more reasonable overall than what we were working with before. Like 800 horsepower is nice, but if it's unusable because the car just lags so badly, then there's no point. So that's what we're working with today. Now I know that one thing we're going to have to fix is the exhaust. The exhaust is probably too big, so we'll have to close that a little bit. And one thing that I found, I was just testing this before, last time we were stuck with short cast, this time we can go race tubular, so we can get good exhaust on here, and that instantly puts it up to 343. So if we lower this down, 350, 360, oh boy. So we got 361 horsepower. That's a little more reasonable, and the torque curve is a little more flat as well, which is good. It's not just like low, 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 and then just instant huge torque, which basically makes it undrivable. This engine is full like billet steel and everything, so it can take a lot of abuse. So yeah, it's no longer 856 horsepower. It is instead, we'll say 360. And we'll keep clone in there because it is a clone. Now, when it comes to the looks of this thing, I am not happy with it. I like the front end, but the back end doesn't look good. It overall, it looks okay, but it's not as where I want it to be. So I think what we should do is switch it to a wagon. I think it looks a little bit better as a wagon. It's probably heavier, but because of this new, because of the new engine, it's probably still going to be faster around the track, and we will test that in a bit. So it's a 360 horsepower version in comparison to the 800 horsepower version, but this will probably be faster. Alright, let's go to paint. One thing I haven't been doing, and I wasn't doing it at this time with the vehicles, was painting the window trims, which I'm just going to make, oh, whoops, black. We'll just make it black. The orange that I was using on this car is gone. I don't want to keep it orange anyway, so that doesn't matter. What we should, whoa, that's not what I want. Blueberry. We could just leave it white. I mean, we could make a new color as well. Let's make a new color. The orange that we were using before was just a little bit too orange for me. So maybe if we go for a dark purple, I don't know. A blue maybe? That's a nice rich blue. It's definitely not. Oh no. Are we trying to rip off Subaru here? Oh, and we're really super high in the flake and everything. That's why. That looks pretty good. We'll save that and we'll use that nice blue-ish purple color. Let's make the calipers black, and we'll make the wheels not chrome. Carbon fiber? No, we'll make them black. That looks a little bit better. One thing I did want to fix is I think these exhausts are pretty bad. We should get rid of those. And let's just do a single exit exhaust at the back of this. We'll just do a big single exit exhaust. I think that looks better just overall. Yeah, that does look better. It makes it look a little bit more rally spec, at least in my opinion. Now when it comes to the big wing, it actually doesn't look terrible on the wagon, but I think we need a lip at the front as well. So these are wings, but let's go spoiler, and then we'll try... Oh, is this even gonna work? I don't think I've used these before. Oh, that's not terrible if we can shift it to be a reasonable size. Oh, you know what? That does look a little awkward. Let's keep it. I think it adds a little bit to the to the aesthetic. When it comes to wheels, we put on these ones last time, but let's see here. Usually rally cars have more like steel wheel type looking things like this, but that's the default wheel in the game, so I don't want to leave it like that. We'll just leave it like that. We're not going to do anything crazy, like we're not going to add one of these like I did to the other car. Although I really do like those quite a bit. Now let's see. It feels like this back end needs just a little something. Now that it's a wagon, we should probably add a handle to the back as well. So we can go door handles. Not, I guess this is probably the closest we're going to get. And then it has 2 locks, so we'll get rid of that second one. That looks a little bit better. We'll make this body colored as well, so it's not as obvious. Now when it comes to the bumper and stuff, I'm just going to leave it. If we could do mud flaps, that would be really cool, but we can't. So we're just going to have to leave it as is, I think. And we're not going to worry about numbering or anything like that. I am going to get rid of that, and we're going to instead replace it with... should we further copy Subaru? Make this a little wider. Raise it up a bit. That's not bad, actually. That's not terrible. I don't mind it. One thing I'm now noticing is that this car does not have mirrors. I don't know if that was just lost in translation or if that's something that it didn't have before, but yeah, we need some mirrors. And we've got a good front lip on there. I think we're pretty much good to go when it comes to that. So drivetrain, we're still going all-wheel drive. Manual, let's make it a 5-speed so it won't be 6. And the current estimated top speed is 268, so we don't need as much top speed as we were previously going for. So that makes sense there. When it comes to spacing, it says ideally lower, but that's also, we can get to 153 Ks in gear 1, which doesn't make much sense to me. We should probably have a higher, I mean the wheel spin part is just inevitable, but if we cap out about 70 kilometers an hour in first gear, I think that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. So we're having electric LSD still. We'll keep this probably the same. Let's get rid of this so we can see. When it comes to rims, they are a little tiny, so I want to make them just a touch bigger. Actually, I think the 16s make sense. We can make the wheels a little bit fatter. I think they're a good width overall. I think it looks pretty decent, actually. We might be able to offset them slightly. Yeah, that's a good way to look. I think that this version of the car just looks much better than the previous one, so we'll just leave it at that. When it comes to brakes, we can make them bigger now, so we're going to do that. We're going to have big brakes on this thing to hopefully slow it down as well as we can. We've got an off-road skid tray, active aero, we don't really need it. Cooling flaps, probably don't need it. We'll raise up the brake flow airflow a little bit, just to have some. And it also has back seats, so we'll get rid of those. And it's probably only going to... We'll have 2 seats, but we'll have 2 basic seats. You know what? For the sake of this, we'll leave it like that. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense there. Safety stuff, no safety, even though real rally would have quite a bit of safety. And we're going to tune it for race, so it's quite low. We could go sport, which is just a little bit higher, and we could go off-road as well, which is real bad. That is, oh boy, that's bad. Comfort, normal. I think that a good balance might actually be... Say, I want to go race because it is more of a race car. But that's not going to handle the bumps too well. So if we go sport, that should be a little bit better. It just adds like a touch to the ride height. How about we go race and we raise the ride height just a little bit. There. Okay, that's a good compromise actually. So here's what we got. This is our new updated rally thing. We're going to export this to Beam and we're going to do some laps with it, but it's a little bit better. It's only got 360 horsepower, but I think that it will be faster than its predecessor. It will be faster, at least from what I think, as long as the gearbox shifts correctly and it doesn't hit boost at like... It has no boost, so it can't hit boost, but yeah, we'll just have to see what it does. Hey everyone, so this is our old version. This is version 1 of the rally car. This is the one with 850 something horsepower. It's got the same engine except it's got a turbo, and there's the new one. So the things that went wrong on this, which you will soon see, are basically that it just has such bad turbo lag, it just does not drive right. The last track we drove it on was the rally circuit in this same area, but I figured for consistency's sake, we would take it to this track and we would take it around there. Now this is what our new version looks like. I think it looks quite a bit better. The front is a little bit, just slightly more refined. Bigger rims was a good idea because we could put bigger brakes on it. The handle just adds a little bit to the back, and I like... Oh, is that a double handle? I like the single exhaust a lot better than the dual. I think the Wagon also looks good. Overall, they're pretty much the same, but they're cool cars overall. Now, I'm just going to run this around the track so you're familiar with what the track layout is. I've added some things on the track so you can also see what the track layout is. I'm not going to try and go too fast or anything. But what I want to do is, I've been using this track, I used it in the last video I made, or the video before that. I think it was the video before that, where we were running around this track and setting base times. Now what I do is I take... I do 2 laps. I do 1 lap from the starting line and then a flying lap through it, and that is how I'm basing the times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an Excel spreadsheet with the times, and I will review that at the end with these cars in mind. So yeah, I'm gonna time this. We'll do 2 laps with each of them, and then I will put up an Excel spreadsheet at the end and talk about what's going on with it. So yeah, this is the track. It's pretty fast for a track. It's not slow by any means, but let's explore the first car in our series. Oh, that's a van. Okay, you're gonna get to see all of the things now. So here is the leg mobile itself. Now let's take it for a drive. I'm not good at driving it at all, and I'm still going to use the Beam manual, like it shifts for you, just for consistency. So hopefully it goes well. I'm going to try to be good on it. The main differences, like I said, are the blue car, the one we just made, has bigger brakes. It's probably just a little bit heavier, and it has about half the power. So I'm interested to see what happens between this one and that one. I took them both around the track already just as a test, and this orange one is actually pretty quick. It's not as slow as it was on the rally track, so this could be an interesting go. So here, let's take off here. 3, 2, 1. Alright, so I don't see the times. I will see those at the end and I'll be able to tell. Oh boy. But I'm not going to redo any laps if they're if they're bad. I'm just going to race around the track as best that I can. I'm just going to try and be conservative and controlled so I can get around here safely. I am trying to go as fast as possible with both cars, so it is trying to be fair. Now this thing has such ridiculous power that in the straights, which we just passed the biggest straight so far, it will be quick, and that's just the reality of things. But the problem with it that I find is it's got such low torque at the start of the curve that it has a really hard time getting out of the corners, and that's its main issue, I would say. But coming down straights, it is really fast once it hits boost. The problem is the brakes. They are carbon ceramic brakes, but they are a little bit squirrely still. I like the bigger brakes on the blue car better. And we just went off the track there. But I like the bigger brakes on the blue car better. They just feel better. Slightly bigger brakes would definitely do this thing some justice. In the theme of rally car initially, I wanted to have some pretty meaty tires on it, but we're driving completely on pavement for this testing, so it's not really true to its rally roots, I'll say, and it's not quite what you'd want either, but that's okay. So we're coming up at the end of the second lap here, and let's oh my goodness, I'm trying to hit these corners well, because if you slow down too much, it takes so much to get back out of it. The 3-liter i4 does not have much torque. And across the line. So, hopefully that time wasn't too bad. You'll see both times in the corner on the top right. That's what I've been doing. But I'm just going to park this over here. Hit it a little bit, you know. And we will move on to the next vehicle in our lineup. So you can see that this car, it looks pretty much exactly the same like I said before. I did not change much on it as you saw. Let's see what kind of time it sets though. I'm very interested. So 3, 2, 1. So immediately out of the gate, this car has much more torque, and it also has much more stopping potential. On the low end of things. On the high end, the orange car has much better horsepower and torque, but this car has it in the low end. It is very strong coming out of the corners, especially being all-wheel drive. It's got a nice torquey i4, and that's something that I can appreciate, especially on these tracks. You know what? In the straight line, we are actually not that much. We are not that much slower than the orange car. I think it hit a maximum of around 111, and this time this car has hit I think it hit 109, so it's gonna be down to the corner speed, it seems, to see who sets the fastest lap in this regard. Now we're coming up to the end of our first lap. We're starting the flying lap now. Let's see here. Gotta navigate around the first corner after coming off of the straight. We still need to maintain speed, but it's hard to not fly off the track during that time. And same with this second corner as well. It's hard to keep the speed around that. And then we come up to a hairpin, and then we hit the straight. Now, originally I could have made this straight longer where that giant Coke truck is. We could have just taken that out and then added just let the cars go straight through there, but I wanted to have this extra little twisty bit on the side, just to add to the variability of things. If the track is super short, then it's easier to set consistent times, but I would like to have some variables within this. Alright, so we're struggling to get out of the corner there, but we're across the line. So that's it for this. I'll see you in a bit to see what the leaderboard looks like. I just have to create it. Ugh. But yeah, not bad overall, I'd say. So here are the leaderboards that we are dealing with. This is what I've created in Excel. Basically, all I did was just organize it so the lowest time for the flying lap is on top. Now, these are the cars we've run so far. everybody is unsurprised that the 2600 horsepower monster is indeed in first in both categories, but if we look closely at the cars we made today, the version 1 actually was faster on the flying lap than the version 2 car that we made, but version 2 was faster in the first lap, which is very interesting. So they're very evenly matched despite having such a variance in horsepower and one less gear on version 2. Now, this is very interesting to me. I think that it just goes to show that it's not all about power. Like, if we're gonna try and beat the 2600 horsepower monster, we could probably beat it with like a 1200 horsepower car or something. Just make it a lot lighter, just make it not a V12 that's twin turbo, and be able to probably beat that time. I'm very interested to see if we can beat the 2600 horsepower monster, but anyway, that's what you get. They're pretty much tied. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I'll see you again in another few days for another one. I appreciate all the likes and comments on the videos that I've been getting recently. There's a lot of support behind these videos, and it's very encouraging. So just let me know what you want to see next, and I'll see you then.